Welcome to the Sports Show. Mike, Max, Patrick Royce, the one and only Trent Tucker, and Sid Hartman with a whole lot to talk about tonight. Sydney, let's start with the Minnesota Wild. Their season officially over after a flurry of goals in the third period and trying to extend it with Dallas. Your thoughts, does this go down as a good season, a bad season, or what?
Well, they got to find a way to be a lot more consistent. You can't be as inconsistent as they are. But compared to the Twins, they're superstars.
If you compare the model of franchises, yeah.
The Twins got a catcher, Brendan Murphy.
Let's save them for a little bit later. We'll start with the Wild, then we'll work our way into the Twins.
Well,
follow that menu.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that menu. I put that menu on there for a reason.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Well, talked to the general manager today. He don't think they have to make too many changes to be a contender, but our younger players like Coyle and some of those guys.
Granlund is the one you want to talk about. Granlund's the one you want to talk about right now.
They seem to do the good work, and the big money guys like Sutter and Parisi, they miss him a lot, I'm sure, but I don't know. 4 years in a row now, they failed to go past the first round.
Oh, no, last year they beat the
They
second
won
round.
two. They got beat in the second round 2 years in a row.
Patrick, go ahead.
By the way, Granlund was terrific in the series.
That's what I mean.
That had to make him feel good. But hockey fans are great here, Trent, because the assumption was they were underachievers. Mm-hmm. And then after 2 periods today, 30% of the crowd was going to cancel their season tickets. And when they left there today, everybody's coming back. You'll have 18,000 again next year. One great period of hockey, they'll all be back.
Well, how do you see this season, though, Patrick? Obviously, you've got some injuries and stuff, but they really kind of underachieved.
People are saying they underachieved, but they didn't do anything in the offseason. And if you go back, because they really couldn't do much, they didn't have any money.
They locked up Dubnyk.
When you go back, people were not terribly optimistic coming into this year, were they? Because they hadn't really done anything.
Oh, I think bringing Dubnyk back, the whole theory was now we
anything.
get Dubs for a whole year.
Yeah, but
remember, because he was so good.
Then you looked around and other teams were improving, and they weren't adding people. But then, when those bad spells came, people then got down on them.
You can't get behind every game 2 goals and expect to win.
Damn near could today, though, about this much, right?
They'd be a little shaken with their goalie playing Dallas.
If you win a cup with him in the nets, you better be good.
How long do you wait on these young players? Because you've got this strange thing kind of going on here. You're playing for a cup with Suter and Parisi because they're going to be out of their prime sooner, probably sooner than later. You got these young players, and you're not quite sure if they're going to, hit a peak stride here or not, Trent.
Well, you're hoping, that you can balance off your team with veteran and young players. And, today for them to be down with 4 goals in the third period and then they make the run like they made shows you how tough this team can be, when they're playing some good hockey. But I have to agree with Sid. I think the season was an inconsistent season overall.
So what do you do now, Sid? You don't have a lot of cap space.
Well,
a lot of people say they need to trade their way to the top. Do you think they can?
Have trouble selling as many season tickets next year as they had this year.
Why do you think that?
Well, today those hockey guys, like he said, they're booing them and they're criticizing them and screaming at them, and I think they're going to have a hard time.
So what would you do to re-energize the base then? Would you make a trade? What would you do?
Well, who they got to trade? That's the big.
People always say
you're going to have to trade a kid. You're going to have to trade a kid. You're not going to make a trade without, Now, do you decide that this Dumba kid, because he had a bad year, is worth moving? Those are the guys. They're not going to take your Pominvilles and those guys. Nobody's going to take those guys.
Koivu's still got value.
Well, Koivu's a good player.
But then you lose Koivu. And then you get into Dumba and Spurgeon.
Yeah, well, if they want to trade, though, those are the guys they're going to have to trade. They're going to have to decide which one of those guys isn't,
for a goal scorer.
Yeah.
What's apparent, they can't go far with this personnel. There's something missing with this personnel. But like I mentioned earlier, they get 2 goals behind. They're capable of scoring 4 goals in 1 period, and then they still lose.
Yeah. Trent, in general, are you a big fan of free agency and trades to build a team, or tell me who the GM is and you tell me whether or not you can make the deals?
Well, if you can bring in the right type of free agents and make the right trade, to elevate your team moving forward without giving up some of your core players.
But like at this juncture where you're right on the borderline, you have to do something drastic.
Yeah, you have to make you have to make something happen if you can. I mean, but you want to make sure you bring in the right piece of the puzzle. But also another bigger question: who's going to coach this team next year?
Yeah, we haven't even got to that.
I heard some guys today on TV reporting that they're hearing Torchetti will not be the coach. I wonder how they're going to do any better than him. When you look at the collection of guys out there, unless they can get Arizona to give him this Tippett for a 2nd-round draft choice or something.
Well, Tippett had an option, and I'm told that he has told them that he will honor his option and stay there.
Oh.
That he wants to see it through out there.
The guy in
Tippett.
Arizona they like,
Let
but
me say this.
there's no hot coaches around.
No?
Can't blame the coach. I think he did a pretty good job. Yeah. I think he did a much better job than the previous coach.
Well,
and
you don't know that.
Apparently, a couple guys I know, they say he uses assistant coaches a lot, that Mike didn't use the assistant coaches. Bringing in a new coach, I don't think that's going to solve the problem.
Well, you sure thought it was for our next section. We talk about Timberwolves. You've kind of done 180 on that one. Take a break, come back.
The Sports Show is brought to you in part by Cambria, makers of quality quartz surfaces. Ticket King. For the best price on tickets anywhere, try Ticket King. RSM. This is the power of being understood. This is RSM. BMW of Minnetonka. Choose from 60 certified pre-owned BMWs at BMW of Minnetonka. And Bobby and Steve's Auto World. Go to BobbyandSteve'sAutoWorld.com for huge savings on everything from convenience store items to everything under the hood of your car.
Remember her on Mother's Day. Emeralds, the May gemstone. The Jewelry Exchange has diamond and emerald pendants for $59, rings $149, 1-carat 3-stone rings and studs are $599, 2-carat $19.90. Factory Direct, the Jewelry Exchange in Eagan.
How can we afford an SUV with our bad credit?
You know, CarHop can work around your credit problems to get you approved with a really low down payment.
But what if something breaks down? We really can't afford that.
Not to worry. CarHop's 18-month, 18,000-mile warranty is one of the best in the business. This month only, CarHop has down payments as low as $99. And one lucky person will win a car.
That sounds great.
CarHop, cars and credit to go.
Morning. I'm rolling.
I'm impressed.
They're America's most wanted men.
Do you have any shame? No. Why?
2.5 Men.
2 episodes tomorrow, starting at 9:30.
An odometer under 15,000 miles and an up to 5-year, 75,000-mile warranty makes it elite. The way it does this makes it a BMW. Introducing BMW Certified Pre-Owned Elite.
Choose from 60 certified pre-owned BMWs at BMW of Minnetonka.
Looking for a nice, big, juicy rack of ribs?
Fabulous chops, huge steaks, and the Buddy Bowl? Then J.D. Hoyt's is the place for you. Hoyt's opened in 1983, and Mike Andrews and his partner John White have kept this Minnesota tradition at the top of the food chain. Managing owner Pat Montague gives us a tour.
At J.D. Hoyt's, enjoy a relaxed atmosphere, great food, friendly service, private dining room, second to none happy hour, just blocks from the new ballpark.
Located at 394 in North Washington. Locally owned, nationally known. Hoyt's.
J.D. Hoyt's Supper Club, chop, steak, seafood, and a whole lot more. They got it going on at J.D. Hoyt's. Pat and the crew will be happy to seat you and accommodate you on the way to a ball game, a concert, or anything else in downtown Minneapolis and beyond. Welcome back to the sports show. The Timberwolves. Now, Sydney, I know that you are still reeling and still down in the dumps because when they dismissed Sam Mitchell, you haven't gotten over that yet. How upset are you still about it? Last week you were livid. Are you still just as upset about the dismissal of Sam Mitchell, or how do you feel?
I thought Sam Mitchell did a pretty good job.
So still,
I'd have been very happy with Sam Mitchell staying.
Yep.
But they got a superstar, and the guy they got now.
Here it comes.
He will bring in one of the top free agents off the Bulls.
Joakim Noah?
You watch and see. They got a 5th draft choice. I talked to the doctors. They think Pekovic can play next year.
For what, 2 weeks?
Huh?
2 weeks, 3 weeks, what?
Well, they'll be pretty good next year. I mean...
might be hard with that prosthetic device, but he'll try to play, you know.
So, so it's just a bundle of emotions right now for you. With Mitchell being gone and you not wanting to see Mitchell leave.
I think that he'll have a better coaching staff than Sam Mitchell
So
had.
Sam wasn't the problem, it was the staff more.
The staff was part of the problem,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, there we go. Patrick, the transition's now been made.
Well, I like the hire. I like a guy who's, you know, he might have to ramp her back a little bit as far as playing Karl Anthony Towns 42 minutes a game, but I don't think there's anything wrong with bringing a guy in who's going to make him play defense and play hard.
Yep.
And people are worried about how Wiggins will handle it. I think he'll be great for Wiggins. I think he'll get Wiggins. He'll get Wiggins fired up. 70
Wiggins
games.
is a laid-back guy, but he doesn't seem to have malice.
No, he wants, I think
Wiggins
wants to be a great player.
You know?
Yeah, he's a competitor. I mean, you don't get to this level and do some of the things he has done in his first 2 years, not being a competitor.
NBA veteran, tell us what Thibodeau does to turn the defense around. Is that an X and O thing, or is that just what he demands of players?
It's philosophy. You know, he's going to teach a certain philosophy that everybody has to buy into. You know, they're going to understand every night when they go onto the floor, you know, what type of defensive schemes they're going to run based on the personnel they're playing against.
But is it more important that they just play hard? I mean, does he become intolerant of ineffective defensive play, and is that the greater strength?
No, you just can't play hard because sometimes you can have fake hustle. And when you have fake hustle, guys get out of position. Guys have to be smart on the defensive end as well.
His record defensively is one of the best in any coach in NBA. So he must have a way of getting these guys to play defense. He was #1. The only time is last year he was 9th. Otherwise, he was 1, 2, or 3 in the whole league in defense.
He'll want to get himself a shooter too, won't he? Always like that standstill, you know, Heinrich or Korver. He had Korver for a while. He likes that standstill shooter to come off the bench, so he'll have to go try to find one of those.
Well, this team needs an outside shooter.
Yeah,
you know, if I can play half court, I can make it.
They got a shooter now. That kid from Europe, he was hurt all season.
Well, he's not a
hurt bad,
shooter.
And when he came back, he'll help him a lot as a shooter.
The Bill Lisa?
Yeah.
But they're going to need an outside shooter, you know, especially with the inside game of Karl Anthony Towns and a slashing player like Andrew Wiggins and Zach LaVine. You're going to need some guys who can stretch the defense with some long-range shooting.
I'd love to see him get the kid from Oklahoma. Buddy Hield, 5th.
Yeah,
Well, no, you don't turn him loose. He's your 6th man.
He can shoot the basketball.
He'll try to guard somebody, too.
Oh, for sure.
But he's one of those guys you say, oh, he hasn't done much today, and then he's got 23, you know.
Did he develop Jimmy Butler? Was that...
Yeah.
But I mean, was that his project, or was there some other reason? They told me one night he played him 48 minutes in a preseason game, sent a message early in his career. Was he a project that Thibodeau gets a lot of credit for?
I would think so. When Jimmy Butler first came in, he was a guy that he got on the floor because he played defense. And if you play defense for Tibbs, you're going to get on the floor, and that's going to give you a chance to give your offensive game some opportunities to come around.
You know him when he was with Mussey, right?
I didn't know him that well.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know him that well.
They'll have some 3-hour practices on defense.
Well, they had long practices this year, too, sometimes.
Huh?
They had some long practices this year.
Yeah, but they at the end they're playing better defense, but this guy's got a reputation as a defensive coach. He could have had the Laker job, he could have had the Knicks job, and he wanted his job. This job he wanted.
With the nucleus, I would want this job too, instead of those two nucleuses.
More money from the Lakers, more money from the Knicks.
See, there's a case where sitting out that year really helped to get stock rise.
8 a year isn't too bad, though.
No, it's not bad.
No, but I mean, his stock went.
But you know, long practices, that's okay. Just welcome to old school basketball. I mean, some of the guys I played for, Hubie Brown, Rick Pitino, you know, we had those 3-hour practices. You know, but you have to make sure when you come into a new situation like this, the young guys understand exactly what you want them to do. And sometimes it takes long practices to get that done.
Lindsey Whalen gave me a good scouting report on Towns, though. You know, she'd been rehabbing all winter, and she said he'd play 42 minutes, and she'd get there at 9 in the morning, and he'd be there even if they didn't have a practice that day. You know?
He called me last Saturday night, and he says, help me get this job. I says, I heard you could get the Laker job. I can have the Laker job. I can have the Knicks job.
That's what he told you?
He told me that. And he says, I want this job. I think this team can be a contender next year.
What, I didn't realize.
You got to give Taylor credit. He gave him $8 million. Then the best move he made was a guy from San Antonio.
Scott Layden.
That kid has had a lot to do with their personnel.
Not a kid anymore, though.
No, Frank Layden's son.
Yeah.
Now, I heard on the radio the other day you said that back when, I didn't realize this, when Musselman was here, you and Musselman and Tibbs used to go out sometimes after games in downtown Minneapolis.
A lot of times.
Gallivanting, huh?
A lot of times.
Really? Wow, now there's three bachelors back in the day.
I know who the ace gallivanter in that group was. It wasn't the oldest guy and it wasn't the youngest guy.
That is for sure. Take a break.
The Sports Show is brought to you in part by Escape MSP, the fastest 60 minutes of your life.
Same time next week.
When it drives and looks like new, you'll want to treat it like new. Certified pre-owned by BMW.
Choose from 60 certified pre-owned BMWs at BMW of Minnetonka.
You're watching CW-23.
And welcome back to the Sports Show. Sid, the Minnesota Twins have not gotten off to a good start this season. And today, they played forever and found a way to lose a game that looked like they couldn't lose.
Lost it twice.
They must have the worst catcher in the history of baseball.
Murphy?
Murphy, he's hitting about 63. Today he loses the game. I don't know what that toothpick was thinking. There were 2 outs, and he seals second. You think you don't seal second in most cases when you got 2 outs. And then that great Murphy, the guy bunts, and he throws the ball over Mauer's head, and the next thing the game's tied.
Yeah, that was not a good loss, that's for sure. Some of the dumbest pitch selections I've ever seen in my life. May is pitching to Wilson Ramos. He's got him 0-2, and you got a 4-1 lead. And instead of throwing a fastball up here where Wilson can chase it and strike out, he flips him up a curveball. This is after they have a conference at the mound, so May must have wanted to throw the curveball. Flips it up there, double, 4-3. And then Jepson is got Bryce Harper, and he throws him 7 straight fastballs, which I have no problem with. But the first 6 are up here. The 7th one is down in here. Where does every left-handed power hitter who ever lived want the ball? Right down in there, and he throws it there. And then Tonkin flips that thing up in the 16th inning that says, hit me out of the ballpark.
But let's go back to Saturday, an 18 strikeout day for the Twins.
I will say that they were pathetic, but so was Jim Joyce. And if Ron Gardenhire would have been the manager, and you had a manager with some fire in his belly, he would have been gone in the 4th inning, because Joyce was putting the screws to the Twins' young hitters, especially Sano and Arcia. And you need somebody to fight for your guys, and Paul Molitor has not been it.
That Jepson last year, he was great. He's 0-4. They got no closer now. I think Perkins is done. I don't think
Did you get some information on it, or?
He's not coming back when he's off to the disabled list, and so they don't have a closer. The pitching hasn't been very good.
Starting.
The hitting's been.
Kyle Gibson's been their worst.
But the hitting's what's been pathetic. How long do you wait on these guys, Trent?
Well, I mean, if you can't make any moves, you have no choice but to wait and hope that at some point in time that they all come around and play at a much higher level to see if you can turn this thing around.
Well, like Miguel Sano today was 0 for 7, and then he got the big hit with 4 strikeouts.
Buxton's got to go to the minors.
Buxton's got to go to the minors.
60% of the time.
All they got to do is hit their spots, and he doesn't hit it.
No.
I mean, that's a lot of and Dozier's been fighting himself. He hit a home run today, but he's been fighting himself all year.
I think this team's got some talent. They're going to lose 90 games with talent. At least Gardy lost 90 games with crapola.
What would you do?
How about that Harper for Washington?
Just sat and waited, huh?
Huh?
And then they took him out of the game, and they could have got him a couple more at-bats.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I did like the call on that ball after he hit it. The fellas on TV made it sound there was some doubt, like it was. The only doubt was whether it was going to leave the entire stadium or not.
So, Patrick, do you see enough? Sano, Park improve it. Get consistent enough that this team at least becomes.
Be fine, but they're not going to. This year's, they are so disorganized. It's unbelievable.
I mean, Tyler Duffy's got to make a spot start today.
Yeah.
These are not good signs. Santana's cramping up a little. These are bad signs.
Well, 5-14 is the bad sign.
Whoa!
They're just, I don't know. They just seem to be completely disorganized. Ozzie Arcia is hot. He butchers a couple of fly balls in Milwaukee, and you sit him down for 3 days. That's stupid, if you ask me.
Have anybody at Rochester?
No. Did you see the numbers on these Rochester players?
They don't have any hitters. Barrios is going to be up here. He's good. Barrios is good.
But this Murphy, they just signed hitting like 150, right, for the week. And
let me say something. This team needs a 32-year-old left-handed hitting outfielder when you already got Arcia and Rosario. Like I need a third nipple. They have no use for that. Why did they sign this guy? They're screwed up. I'm telling you, they're messed up. And they got rid of their third catcher. They let him get claimed on waivers. So now you're stuck with Murphy because you can't call up the other guy because you let him get claimed by Detroit.
What was it they saw in the Murphy? He hit a home run against them to beat him last year.
Well, they needed a catcher. I don't think anybody had any idea he was this bad.
Hicks is hitting about under 100, so he's not doing much for the Yankees.
It's hard for me to imagine that Buxton and Hicks, as well as they can run, could hit as low as they can.
I don't know, but you better get there early tomorrow night. 53 degrees, Cleveland's in town.
On a Monday night at Target Field, huh? Y'all have fun out there, folks. Back after this.
Close down a couple of those.
If you guys could go on a free shopping spree anywhere, where would you go? I'd go to the grocery store. Pizza, ice cream. I'd go shop for clothes. You know where I go? I'd go to Ticket King. Ticket King! At Ticket King, you can buy great seats for the Vikings, the Wild, the Timberwolves, and of course the Twins. We love the Twins. Yep, this is where I go. Vikings, Twins, Wild, Timberwolves, Gophers, theater, and concerts too. For details, go to ticketkingonline.com. Any ticket, anytime, anywhere. If
Couldn't have said it any better myself.
That's for sure.
Take every step without hesitation. Anticipate your next move with certainty. Because our trusted advisors help you prepare for challenges specific to your business. Our focus is always on you, so your focus is always forward. Experience the power of being understood. RSM, Audit, Tax, and Consulting for the Middle Market.
You're watching CW-23.
Welcome back to the sports show. We move down to Prince, who is a combination of performer and a bit of a sports enthusiast.
They ought to take the sports writer, great columnist here, and hire him to help the Twins. He probably could help them more than they're helping right now.
I'd be grumpy.
Prince passed away, obviously a great sports fan, and I didn't realize how close you were to him until, and I got to give you credit. You never spoke about it until now. You kept that private.
I was never close to him.
Well, you said on the radio today you were.
But I had a good relationship with him. He'd come to the Timberwolves game, and he'd say, "Come on, I want to talk to you." I'd go out in the hall and talk to him. And a couple times, about 3-4 times.
Yeah.
And I got to met him at the
Super Bowl, now infamous
Super
meeting.
Bowl, and from then on, I got in contact once in a while.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
How about you? Was that your, you go to any Paisley Park dance-a-thons or in your day?
I didn't go to Paisley Park, but, when my first or second year when I was in college, we used to go downtown and listen, to some of Prince and Jimmy Jam and Terry
just coming
Lewis.
on the scene?
It was just coming on the scene. Alexander O'Neal. We used to jump on the 16A bus, to get from campus to downtown, but we had to make sure that the bus stopped running at midnight. We was back on there by 11:45.
You and Mitch and the fellas?
Me, Mitch, and Zeb Holiday guys, yeah.
One thing about the guy,
now Dutch can know.
They talk about all his talent, but he did so much for so many people, poor people. He was a fantastic guy.
Well, we're at that juncture of the show now.
You know why we loved him? Because he stayed here, man. He
right.
was a He could have been living next to Kevin Garnett in Malibu. But
Sid on Sid. Sid,
all
give us
we
your
got
final
is
thought
a
on
bunch of losers in this town. Today was what a day today. The Wild lose, the Twins lose. It's amazing.
Gopher baseball swept Northwestern. They're in first place.
They got it back again.
Yes.
Yeah, after a tough year. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Just thank you for being in our presence. Back next week.
The Sports Show is brought to you in part by Cambria, makers of quality quartz surfaces. Ticket King. For the best price on tickets anywhere, try Ticket King. Escape MSP, the fastest 60 minutes of your life. RSM. This is the power of being understood. This is RSM. BMW of Minnetonka. Choose from 60 certified pre-owned BMWs at BMW of Minnetonka. And Bobby and Steve's Auto World. Go to BobbyandStevesAutoWorld.com for huge savings on everything from convenience store items to everything under the hood of your car.